G'day and welcome to a quick build and review of the Hobbyboss 135th M26A1 Pershing. This is my absolute favourite American tank, despite its minimal wartime use, and it's been a few years since I built one, the last being in 2017, so I decided it's time to revisit this interesting machine. Having built a Hobbyboss T26E4 last, which uses the same sprues for the most part, with just a couple of differences, I immediately noticed the amount of flash that had gone up significantly, which is to be expected with the age of the tooling at this point. But much like the previous build, this kit was very cheap, retailing at about $48 here in Australia. For what you get in the box, I have to say is absolutely worth it, even if a little bit of extra work is required in spots. Not only are the details acceptable for the price, but you actually get the power pack included if you'd like to have the option of the hatches open to view it all, and the level of detail in this area is quite brilliant in my opinion. I also feel like at some point, an update to the mold would go a long way, and perhaps extending the kit to be in line with many other modern brands would be welcomed, such as continuing the interior so it's a complete set, and perhaps offering a clear deck and turret section. In regards to my build, I won't be assembling the engine or interior pieces at this time, but I will be saving them in the high possibility I feel like doing a small engine display to put by the tank on a shelf later. And this makes more sense to me personally, as the power pack being outside of the tank will make it easier to see all of the details. But this comes down purely to personal preference. The sprue count for this model is relatively low, along with the parts count, and has fairly good continuity, so you're not constantly bouncing between every sprue sheet to build one section. For my build here, I'm going to be aiming for a more active service or post-war build, perhaps dusty and a little bit rusty, but no real combat damages or the like. And with little luck, I should be starting it right after this video has gone live. So if you're interested in seeing how it finishes up, be sure to keep an eye out. The flow of the build goes quite nicely, but I will note that I feel like the turret could have been set out differently, and would have benefited from having the two halves joined before moving on to all of the smaller details. You can of course do this yourself provided you cut and drill all of the specified sections the manual tells you to beforehand, and the benefit will be a much easier time sanding and filling the join before there's a bunch of objects making it bothersome to handle or access areas to tidy it up. For this build, I've simply done it as the manual has shown, less the wheels and tracks being added early on, as I always paint those separately and then add them in later. Overall, this Pershing kit goes together fairly well, with minimal issues such as the points where cutouts are required, often showing you to take a larger area out, which is more than necessary. So something to double check before you go hacking away at the model is to make sure that you're not taking too much out of it. Down the line, I will get around to building my Dragon M26A1, and we'll be able to compare the two, but a brief look over the Dragon variant is hinting at Hobbyboss's kit being the better of the two, especially where cost is concerned and the fact that the Dragon kit has no interior of any kind. It also has individual tracks, which a lot of people seem to favour, but in this regard they look very fiddly. The price difference is also roughly about $10 to $20 depending on where you can find the Dragon kit. As it presently sits, the Pershing has been undercoated in Tamir's Olive Drab 2 and still needs some finer tidy up before I progress into the further details and shading, mainly concerning further sanding and hole filling. I hope this video was of some entertainment and informational value to you. Thanks for watching and best of luck if you decide to tackle it yourself. Cheers!